If I were to elevate my emotional states to the feeling of me already being whole, and I anchor the emotion of feeling whole in my mind and in my body, then nothing that I desire for myself or for my life is missing. And if nothing is missing because I am already whole as I am, then isn't that what we're all seeking?
Welcome to the Inpowered Life podcast,
A space dedicated to spreading the message that you have the power within to create everything you seek.
So if you're ready to enroll in a new kind of higher learning, the kind that leads to true personal freedom, hang here with us.
We're your hosts, Rudi and Aniston, and this is Inpowered Life. Hi, my name is Rudi Riekstins, and you're listening to the Inpowered Life podcast. You know, every single week I work tirelessly to bring you incredible messages that carry the power, the potential to create a shift in you. And today is no different. This message was actually given to me, and I felt so compelled to share this message that I changed my plans this morning, and I am recording this because I want this to be in the energy and or frequency with which I received the message so that you receive the transmission in the same way that I did. And so my advice to you is grab a cup of coffee, sit back, relax, and with an open mind, listen to what carries the potential to truly change so much inside your life. So to give you some additional context, every Monday morning, Aniston, my wife, and I sit down and we receive intuitive messages. So I am somebody who is able to connect to my highest self, and through being able to do that, open myself up to connect to the guides that are working with me to be able to support me in knowing what I need to do, what directions I need to take to receive inspiration, guidance. We all have this ability. I've just spent a lot of time honing this skill set. And every Monday morning, Aniston and I will sit down, we will quiet our minds, and then we will pose questions like, what do we need to do today? What's important for us to understand? And this has become a ritual in our home. And today's conversation is not about encouraging you to do the same, although I very much encourage that you start to listen to who you are, you listen to your intuition, and you open yourself up to receiving the intuitive nudges or bumps that are available to you. But today's message is more specifically around what I received. And I am abundantly aware that what I receive is not only for me, it's not only for my marriage, but it is for everybody. And so I wanted to share this message with you today in its entirety. And so I sat down on my couch this morning at around 5:30 a.m., quietened my mind as I always do. Aniston had prepared a series of questions. And as I quietened my mind, all of a sudden, this influx of information started pouring into my mind. And it's almost as if I'm hearing myself speak inside my head. And the words are not mine, and I wasn't thinking about them before. But all of a sudden, I have this running sentence, if you will, in my mind. And as I speak the running sentence, another running sentence appears. And then I speak that sentence and then another one. So I have no idea what's actually going to come next. I'm just simply responding to what it is that I'm receiving and or thinking in my mind at that moment. And so the message that came through today that was loud and clear is that the greatest thing that we can do, meaning if we were to learn a skill set as human beings living this in very much human experience, it would be to be able to self-regulate, to be able to control your own emotional state. Now, I teach self-regulation in businesses. In fact, in a few moments' time, I'm going to grab my hoodie, my backpack, and I'm going to be heading to the airport because I'm going to be working with 60 high-level leaders inside of an organization this week, teaching them how to self-regulate because they don't have the luxury of time. When they have heightened stress, when they're in a state of pressure, when there's a deadline, there's a decision that needs to be made, they can't create pause and say, well, let's think on this and come back to it tomorrow. They need to act now. And so that skill set is very important to learn how to create separation and create space between who you are and what it is that you've been experiencing, and not identifying with what you've been experiencing, but instead becoming the observer of the experience so that you can then look at it objectively, subjectively, and then be able to say, Interesting, fascinating. Why am I experiencing that? What could I do different? How have I always reacted and responded? And what would drive a different result? And that's bringing you back into yourself. That's giving you that vantage point so that you can create the necessary shift, not only in your state, but then also in your thought process and where you think. It literally changes where you think inside of your brain. Well, I know all of this. I know this intimately well because, again, as I'd mentioned, I've been teaching this for years. What dropped in this morning is that once we have been able to create a state where we are calm, where we are neutral, we're not experiencing a heightened state of stress, the greatest elevated emotion that we should be able to tap into, access, and continue to bring ourselves back to throughout the course of our day is the emotion of wholeness. Now, I want you to think about that wholeness. What I received this morning was that when you are in a state of absolute calm, neutrality, you're not stressed, nervous, worried, anxious, eager, excited, expectant, you're just completely calm. I reach this state and I teach people to reach this state purely by sitting quietly. I close my eyes because it's easier to not be distracted. I breathe in and out until I feel myself becoming very, very calm. Like there's nowhere I need to be. There's nothing I need to do. I'm just focusing on in and out, equal breaths in and out, slowing down my breathing. Once I've received that neutral state of just being completely calm and completely still, if I were to elevate my emotional states to the feeling of me already being whole, and I anchor the emotion of feeling whole in my mind and in my body, then nothing that I desire for myself or for my life is missing. And if nothing is missing because I am already whole as I am, then isn't that what we're all seeking? And if I am whole as I am right now, feeling the fullness of myself, I'm not unworthy, I'm not good enough, I'm perfectly, beautifully, divinely prepared to be who I came here to be. God has given me every tool, every skill set, every person that's going to move me forward, every relationship that's going to support me in shifting my awareness. Every single orchestrated, seemingly insignificant moment is going to be very much divinely curated as it has in the past, as it is in the present. It is going to continue in the future. And so when I know that, then I already know that I am whole. And if that thing that I want to have, that thing that I want to do and I want to experience, which before the feeling of wholeness felt like that would complete me. One of my favorite lines was in a Julia Roberts movie, which was, you complete me. And I remember hearing that. And I watched that movie, oh gosh, must have been at least 10 or 15 times. And it was the idea that when you meet your soulmate, you will finally feel whole. But the soulmate can't come until you first create the wholeness within you. The joy, the fulfillment, the freedom, the abundance, whatever it is that you are seeking that you currently do not have in your external environment. The reason you don't have that is because you feel like you are not whole, you are not complete. And when you are able to anchor into, tap into the feeling of wholeness, of already being enough, of already having all of what you seek, now you are a match to the things that are destined for you, but you're no longer putting up resistance to them. When you feel like you want something in your life, but you feel like you don't have the thing that you want, you're essentially creating a buffer between the thing that you are destined for and where you are right now, because you're no longer in a match and or in an alignment to what it is that you want. But when we can hold the feeling of wholeness, so before I carry on, as long as you're not driving, take a moment just to push your back all the way into the back of your chair. Elongate your spine. Take in a really deep, calming, slow breath in. And with your eyes closed, what does it feel like when I ask you to generate the emotion of wholeness? Not waiting for somebody to validate you, not waiting to finally get the apology or the promotion or the dollar value in your bank account, just wholeness. And maybe these words will comfort you. I said them earlier and I'm going to repeat them again. You were created by the greatest force that created everything. And that force has created you for exactly who you need to be. And you already are everything that you need to be. And if you are everything you need to be, you are perfectly, divinely whole. Breathe into the wholeness that is you. Hold the feeling of wholeness, trusting that all the things that you desire for yourself are seeds that have been planted on you and are inevitably going to come to you. You don't have them yet, but they're coming. And they won't make you whole. They will just add to the wholeness that already exists within you. But when you focus on the lack of something, you are then disillusioned to believe that something is in fact missing, which means you're not whole because you require something to fill you in order to be complete. Can you generate that feeling of wholeness? I have a community called the Inpowered Life community, and every 2 weeks we meet. And this week on the community call, somebody had posed a question. And in response to the question about them wanting something and not being able to have the thing that they want, I started laughing. And I said to them, you know, what's really interesting is what you've just asked me is actually something I'm experiencing right now. And I went into a story of explaining how right before the holidays, around the 20th of December, I smashed the front of my iPhone screen. Well, I have an insurance plan that all I have to do is go on, select the button, shattered screen, and within 24 hours, I have a brand new phone sitting on my front doorstep, and I just ship the old phone back, and I keep the replacement phone. And so I went ahead and did that the same day that it happened, and I submitted it, and no phone arrived. And then no phone arrived. And so then I started messaging their customer service, and then I started phoning their customer service. And within 4 or 5 days, I'm now into the holidays, and my phone is not going to come because no one's working, no one's shipping anything. And so I start to get frazzled. I start to get frustrated. And so after the holidays, I start messaging again, like, where's my phone? What's taking so long? And they keep saying, we have no idea why. I mean, it's in the system, it's been received, everything's been processed, but something is holding it, and we don't know why. We just have to wait for it to not be on hold. And I was like, that's not an answer. Like, what do you mean? It's processed, it's ready, but it's on hold. And then in that moment, I realized, okay, I'm creating the resistance. And so I finished talking to customer service, didn't follow up with again, and I just let it go. And here I am on my community call, and somebody's asking me a question about why would this thing not be coming? What is it? And their terminology was speaking into, they were focused on the lack thereof. They were focused on the resistance. They were focused on all the things that weren't working. And I started laughing, and I said to them, oh my gosh, I'm going to use me as an example to answer what you're experiencing right now. My phone, since last year, the 20th of December, has been pending for them to send me a replacement that normally takes 24 hours, and it's not coming, and nobody can tell me why. And all I've been doing is now almost 3 weeks in, focusing in on the fact that it hasn't arrived, that it's not coming yet, that it's sitting and pending, and that nobody can answer my questions. And I continue to look at a cracked screen, and it's continued to impact my ability to do my work off my phone because I do a lot of recordings off it. And so I was focused on the absence of the replacement phone. And I said to them on the call on Wednesday, oh my gosh, I just realized everything you just said is what I'm doing as it relates to my phone. And what we need to do is shorten the distance of the resistance, because we're stuck in the resistance. We're stuck in saying what I want isn't here. And because it's not here, I don't have the thing that I need. And I'm focusing on what I don't have. Therefore, I am in that moment not whole. I'm not complete because my focus is on, I need something to complete me. I need something to make me feel whole. And I said to them on the call, gosh, what I need to do is connect to the feeling that I already have it. I need to connect to the feeling of relief. I need to shorten that distance. And so of the resistance. And so what I did was on the call, I said to them, you know what I'm going to do? I'm just going to detach right now from me not having it. I'm going to let it go. And you know what? My phone will come when my phone needs to come. I then turned back to the person I was speaking to, answered their question very specifically, and moved on with my day. And that was Wednesday. I woke up on Thursday morning, and when I picked up my cell phone, there was an email saying, "Your phone has shipped." Now, I laugh because for 3 weeks, this phone has been sitting in a state of pending, and no one could answer why. And it wasn't until I removed my focus from, you know what, I give up. I'm not going to focus on it. I'm just going to remove myself from the situation. When it needs to come, it's going to come. And the moment I did that, I was no longer resisting what I wanted. My focus went from the lack to, well, it is what it is. It will come when it comes, but I am already whole. Well, the message I received this morning is that if we intentionally every single day anchor into the feeling of wholeness, we permeate our entire body, meaning imagine you could breathe into every cell of your body, but instead of breathing in oxygen, you're breathing in a feeling that is going to, through frequency, update your entire physical frame. Well, breathe in the feeling of wholeness. Try it today. And as I take in that breath, I imagine the wholeness goes to the tips of my fingers, all the way down to my toes, my ears, the hair on the top of my head. Every single cell in my body becomes wholeness. And then I just anchor, what does wholeness feel like? Well, in that moment of anchoring wholeness, I'm not worried about a bank account, a future event, what I'm going to do, where I'm going. I am simply in that moment whole. I'm trusting that what's coming is coming. But even if it doesn't come, it doesn't matter because I am already whole. And the moment I focused in on feeling whole, it changes everything. And the work is to do this throughout your day, not just in the beginning of the day, but anytime you find yourself in heightened emotion, anytime that you feel yourself connecting to distrust, shame, guilt, worry, stress, anxiety, is to create a space of wholeness, to pause, to breathe, and to acknowledge that regardless of what is happening in the external environment, what is happening outside of you right now in your life, that is simply just the hologram. That is you experiencing life. That is for your unfoldment. That is for your learning. That is for your experience of evolution. But that within you, the true nature of who you are is and always has been wholeness. But for so many of us, we're fixated on focusing externally. And when we fixate on focusing externally, we forget that we're already whole and we create the resistance. On Saturday was my son's birthday party, and we drove a couple of kids to the birthday party because they live in our neighborhood. And on our way back from the birthday party, my son turned around and asked me, "What does the quantum field mean?" And I was like, that's a fascinating question for a 12-year-old boy to be asking after he's been running around a sports arena playing, with his friends. And his two friends in the back seat were like, what does quantum mean? And so I thought about how I was going to introduce the concept of the quantum field to two 11-year-olds and a 12-year-old boy. And so I took a deep breath, I paused, and then I thought, okay, gentlemen, can you right now in your minds, as I address these three young men, can you picture in your mind you riding a bicycle? And so they quietened their minds, and my son immediately nodded and he said, yes. The two boys in the back of the car, they made a joke about it, and I focused in on my son in that moment. And I said to him, so you can see yourself riding a bicycle? And he then verbally said, yes. I said to him, could you turn that bicycle into an electric e-bike now? Keep it red. But now feel the speed of the bike. Feel the ease of riding the bike. Feel the wind blowing through your hair. Can you now feel and see the red e-bike? My son took a moment and then he said, yes. I said, open your eyes. You just accessed through your mind the quantum field. And the quantum field is all of the electric magnetic energy that surrounds us. Everything that we have ever wanted lives in the quantum field. You see, we're not so much creating something as instead aligning to it and removing the resistance from it. And so every dream that you have, every desire that you have, the relationship you yearn for, the job promotion that you want, the dollar value in your bank account, the vacation to the Greek Isles, whatever you seek, that already exists. The experience exists inside of this quantum field. And in order for you to bring that experience into your physical experience, you need to reduce your resistance to it, and it will come to you faster. But if you think you're not worthy, if you think you're not good enough, you think it's never going to happen for you, if you walk around with the vantage point of life isn't serving you and you're a victim and you need to brace yourself for the next negative thing that's going to happen, then that is shifting your focus away from the wholeness of who you truly are. And the wholeness, or the absence of the awareness to the wholeness, creates the frequency shift that says, oh, we're not good enough, or we're not worthy, or it's not going to happen for us. And it pushes it further and further and further away. It doesn't mean it's not coming. It just means that you are not a frequency match to what you want. And if you're not a frequency match, it literally cannot, scientifically speaking, come to you. And so when you anchor yourself in the feeling of wholeness, you say out aloud, I acknowledge I walk in the light of the Creator. I am whole. I am healed. I am healthy. I am happy. I am complete. I am all I aspire to be. All those other things are wonderful. They're coming to me. They will add to my joy, my fulfillment, my freedom, but I am already whole. And when you can feel the feeling of wholeness, those frequencies are going to be able to connect to you significantly faster, because you're now not looking at the absence of them. You're not pushing them away. You're simply aligning with them. Because if you right now were able to walk into a store, put $2 down on a counter, and buy a lottery ticket for any one of your dreams, and the numbers come up and boom, you get your vacation, you get your relationship, you get the job you want, and in that moment you had it, how would it make you feel? Well, you would feel like you got something that added to you, and you would feel more whole. And so the act is in creating the wholeness before the experience. And it's just a shift. It's a mental shift from what's not working to what's already perfectly there. You are whole. You are so incredibly divine. You were created by the force that created the universe. That force is flowing literally to you and through you. But more specifically, that force is you. You are the force. And in and of itself, it is whole. And as an extension, so are you. My intention for you today is to pause, take in a deep breath, and connect to the remembrance of who you are, so that you can feel the feeling of wholeness. It was never away, always is. And now your focus can be on it. And then move forward in your day. And when you forget, the number one tool is to readjust your frequency, create the space, and connect to your divinity, to your wholeness. And everything that exists in the quantum field around you will start to navigate to you. I hope that you enjoyed this message as much as I enjoyed receiving this message this morning. An incredible reminder that we always have a choice. The free will that we were given was free will of what are we going to focus on? And I'm going to choose to focus on wholeness. This is the Inpowered Life podcast, because you arrived here fully empowered, the power within to have, be, do, and achieve anything and everything. My ask of you is that you support me in sharing this message so that more people can benefit from this incredible information that carries the power and the potential to remind all of us that nothing is lacking and that everything is within. I hope that you have an amazing rest of your week, and I'd love to hear from you. Share with me what has been your greatest takeaway and how has wholeness impacted you. We'll catch you in the next episode of the Empowered Life podcast. Till then, I love you and goodbye.
If you enjoyed this episode, please subscribe so you don't miss out on future content. And we would love your support in leaving us a review wherever you listen to your podcasts. Make sure to check the show notes for more information on how you can find us online and on Instagram. Now go create an amazing day for yourself, and we'll see you again soon.